Ever since making her in-ring professional wrestling debut in 2021, the incomparable Jade Cargill has maintained her dominance over all elite wrestling for the better part of 2 years, racking up an undefeated streak in ways that hasn't been seen since the likes of Goldberg in WCW, including wins over the likes of Ruby Soho, Athena, Red Velvet, Anna Jay, Madison Rayne, and most recently, Taya Valkyrie, just to name a few. Cargill has since the time of this recording gone on to amount an impressive 57-0 undefeated streak, all the while becoming the inaugural AEW TBS Women's Champion, becoming the longest reigning champion in AEW history at 373 days and counting since January 2023. With no ending in sight for her undefeated streak nor her title reign, what if Tony Khan has to step outside of his company again in an attempt to give this woman the competition she's been clamoring for and give her a big money match at the show where worlds collide between All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling? That's what we're here for, because what if Jade Cargill's biggest test comes in the form of a former IWGP Women's World Champion? What if
Moné
answers the challenge at Forbidden Door? We are live from the Vijas Arena in San Diego, California for the first AEW Dynamite following another successful AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view event. And despite maintaining her undefeated streak, Jade Cargill is not competing on this broadcast, which upsets the TBS champion who's had enough.
It's time to cut the shit. I have been running through every single person in this company that Tony Khan had the balls to put in the ring with me. He doesn't want me going after the Women's World Champion because I would absolutely win that belt too. So Tony, as your TBS Women's Champion and the longest reigning champion in your company's history, I am telling you, find me a real challenge or you can take this belt, that little contract I signed, and shove it. Because I am that bitch and I am spoiling for a fight.
And it's a fight she's going to get. The following Friday on AEW Rampage, Jade Cargill once again made her way to the ring for a match, and this time, she doesn't have an opponent in the ring, which prompts her representation to appear on the screen to address this situation.
Jade, my apologies for leaving you out in this dump alone, but I am still on assignment to find you proper opponents, and I am here to inform you that your message has been heard loud and clear. Thanks to Tony Khan's resources and my fluidity in the Japanese native tongue, I was able to strike up a mini tour for you when you defend your TBS Women's Championship in special matches that I know you can achieve, because you're you. With the final match taking place in 3 weeks' time at Forbidden Door against someone deemed as the final boss by Tony. Your first match is right now against someone I feel can give you the challenge, representing Club Venus from Stardom, Mariah May.
Jade Cargill has gotten her wish as Mariah May made her way to the ring, accompanied by her Club Venus tag team partner Xia Brookside, with the special match being contested under one-sided rules in favor of the challenger, where Jade Cargill is not allowed to use the Jaded. She has to get creative to maintain her undefeated streak, and she does. When Mariah May gets creative and even nearly defeats Jade, Cargill takes a page out of one of her trainers, Brian Dames' handbook, when she locked in the label lock, forcing Mariah May to submit to retain the title. Xia tried to get one up on Jade, but the TBS Women's Champion wasn't standing for it and laid out Brookside with the Jaded before finally walking away to continue her reign. We are live from the Broadmoor World Arena in Colorado Springs, Colorado for AEW Dynamite as the road to Forbidden Door continues. In the co-main event of the evening, Jade Cargill enters once again to defend her AEW TBS Women's Championship in another match that has been dubbed the Trial of Jade, which will be contested under a 15-minute time limit. And unlike her previous match, she can use the Jaded, and she is, of course, confident until it's revealed who her opponent is. She is none other than Stardom's own Azumi, the current high-speed champion, and after researching this woman in depth, this could be considered one of Jade's toughest challenges yet on her road to the final boss. Once the bell rung, Azumi instantly showcased her speed and technical skills against the defending champion. So much so, Jade had to remember her power game and used it effortlessly before connecting with the Jaded and confidently pinned her opponent. But then, for the first time in a while, Jade is caught off guard when Azumi kicks out of the move. The high-speed champion begins shouting at Jade to bring it on, and both women exchange offense until Azumi caught Jade slipping by using her emotions against her and started focusing on the arm and even locking in the Azumi sushi, looking to hand Jade her first loss. But then she powers out at the very last moment. Azumi has the champion rocked off of a PK and heads to the top to inflict further punishment until Jade catches her mid-air and proceeds to lock in the lapel lock. And it's looking like Azumi is about to pass out, but then again, the challenger finds a way to fight back and breaking free of the hold before the champion connects with a bicycle kick, taking her head clean off before she proceeds to connect with a second Jaded to pick up the win and retain the championship by the skin of her teeth. The following Friday on AEW Rampage, Jade Cargill is still recovering from that war with Azumi on Dynamite, and she's still wondering who the final boss is.
Azumi, I have to admit, you put up quite the fight and you represented Stardom well. But that fight wasn't enough because in still your AEW TBS Women's Champion, yours truly. Now, Tony Khan, Mark, you two better have an opponent for me at Forbidden Door, and you know what? Why wait? I'm headed to the ring right now, and your final boss had better answer the call because I'm still spoiling for a fight.
No longer content with wasting any more time, the TBS Women's Champion powers her way to the ring and demands to know who her Forbidden Door opponent is.
I'm tired of the stalling and waiting. Come on, Tony, who you got?
Moné. Double the standard, double the goal, double the money. Jade Cargill, allow me to introduce myself. I am the conversation, I am the standard, I am the CEO of the Stardom and New Japan Women's Division. I am the final boss, Mercedes. Moné. And I am here to inform you that I heard of your challenge, but I have to ask, what do you offer me? I already have the fame, I already have the riches, and when I beat you, I just become champion. I already did that here. I am the second ever IWGP Women's Champion. I've won countless championships and made history all over the world. What exactly would beating you accomplish? Because outside of a few opponents, including someone I've already beaten, Azumi, how's it going, girl? Jade, your undefeated streak is nothing but numbers. I feel like you haven't faced a real threat, so how about this? This Wednesday you face someone I actually haven't beaten, and you can bring along that new submission hold that you've learned recently. When you face the leader of stars and the current IWGP Women's Champion, Mayu Iwatani, in a submission match, and maybe then I'll call your agent back about your little challenge, because once you survive the lethalness that woman brings to that ring, then maybe you'll be worth my time.
Mercedes Moné has made her presence felt. If Jade Cargill wants the final boss at Forbidden Door, she has to go through the hyper technician that is Mayu Iwatani. We are live at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. for AEW Dynamite, and after the bombshell that the final boss is none other than Mercedes Moné, TBS Women's Champion Jade Cargill has reached the ultimate test, as she must face someone whom Mercedes has never beaten at this point in her career. None other than the woman who defeated her to become the third IWGP Women's Champion, Mayu Iwatani, in a champion versus champion non-title submission match. Once the bell rung, the inexperience of Jade Cargill was on display once again, but what isn't broken doesn't need to be fixed when Jade used her power to stop Mayu in her tracks whenever she attempted to mount some form of offense. And despite having a week off from competition, Jade showed signs of damage to her arm from her war against Azumi, and Mayu exploited that weakness with various submissions targeting that injured arm, but the will to prove a point was enough for Jade to power through the pain and fight back against the current IWGP Women's Champion, eventually connecting with a powerbomb from the top, having Mayu right where she wants her, and looked to lock in the lapel lock until from behind, Mercedes Moné slides into the ring and hits Jade with a backstabber before turning her sights to Mayu and lays her out with the move as well, before delivering a message to Jade, forcing this match to end via a no contest.
That win isn't yours to obtain, it's mine. Jade Cargill. After Tony opened the checkbook without even blinking, it had me thinking maybe you can offer me something after all. And that's more money and less matches, because this is the most you've wrestled at a high level since signing here. I've wrestled at this level for 12 years, and I could go after the AEW Women's World Championship. That'll be another day in the office. But you got heart and you have potential to be the greatest of all time, but that position has already been filled by me right now. So Jade, I'll see you at Forbidden Door, bitch.
The match has now been made official for AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door 2. On the final edition of AEW Dynamite before Forbidden Door 2, the contract for the AEW TBS Women's Championship match has been signed, with Renee Paquette assigned to officiate the proceedings, and neither Mercedes Moné nor Jade Cargill held their tongue after respectively signing on the dotted line.
I guess we finally made it here, huh? The final boss and the undefeated boss is going down for the TBS Women's Championship this Sunday in Toronto at Forbidden Door. I would say I'm excited, but after sitting down and relaxing with my family, I came to the realization that you do need something from me. Because when you take away the money and the fame, you're just a fan that's playing dress up to mask your insecurities. Yes, you are one of, if not the best wrestler in the world. You've held countless titles all over the world, but if you strip all of that away, you're nothing compared to me. Yes, I am still far away from being great in that ring, but you can't take away the fact that when those lights are on bright, I am the conversation, I am the star of the women's division. Hell, I draw more than most on a consistent basis. So you want to know what I can offer you truly? Relevance. Because I brought more eyes to your little women's division in New Japan than you did as women's champion. Because you and I both know that without it, you're just another WWE reject looking for a payday.
Reject. Newsflash, bitch, I rejected them. And relevance? Sweetheart, I'm bringing more eyes to this company than you could ever imagine because I am bigger than your little muscles and professional wrestling. You talk about bringing more eyes to Stardom and New Japan than I did Bravo. You're just lining my pockets. But since we're laying all of our cards on the table, let's just rip off the Band-Aid. In order for me to show up to Forbidden Door, I was offered two choices. You or the AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter. But seeing as Tony has other plans for her that left me against you, and let's be real, when that final bell rings on Sunday, you can offer me something. Thank you. Thank you, Mercedes, for carrying me to the greatest match of my career. You see, Jade, I'm here to give you a reality check. Because you barely survived against Azumi and Mayu, and you put up one hell of a fight. But what makes you think you can survive against me? I'm the standard for a reason, because not that many people can keep up with me. Yes, you're bigger than me. Yes, you've been undefeated for nearly 3 years, and no matter what people say, you've earned that. But this Sunday at Forbidden Door, your title reign and your undefeated streak ends, courtesy of the CEO. You call yourself that bitch? Well, this Sunday, I'm gonna make you mine.
The time has now come. We are live from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada for the highly anticipated AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door 2. Can the sequel live up to the hype of the original? Let's find out. As the dominant force, the undefeated AEW TBS Women's Champion Jade Cargill meets the final boss, the CEO representing New Japan Pro Wrestling, Mercedes Moné, with the AEW TBS Women's Championship at stake. Can Cargill survive the ultimate test, or will Mercedes finally humble the undefeated phenomenon? The bell rings and Mercedes instantly begins playing mind games against the champion, who realizes that she has the disadvantage with Mercedes being a crowd favorite, which eventually gets to Jade, who's caught slipping on the outside when Mercedes sends her into the barricade before taking the fight back inside the ring and goes to town on the champion a bit until Jade stops the momentum quickly and goes to town herself on the former IWGP Women's Champion all over the ring. Jade eventually takes Mercedes down and goes the ground and pound route, much to the dismay of the sold-out crowd in attendance, which Jade chooses to rub it in their faces every chance she got. But that was her first mistake, which the CEO quickly took advantage of and goes to town on the defending champion, reminding her that at any time she will slip up, and that's when she will strike. Jade eventually catches on and keeps the challenger at bay when she power bombs her and power slams her all over the place, landing near fall after near fall on the challenger. Later on, Jade counters a suicide attempt from the challenger and connected with a Jaded on the floor before rolling the challenger in the ring and looked to put this one to bed indefinitely. But somehow, some way, Mercedes powered out, joining the selected few who's ever kicked out of that move. Jade begins to show signs of frustration, but Mark Sterling implores her to remain focused, and she eventually does. But that delay was enough for Mercedes to pop up and lock in the bank statement submission. But somehow, despite all of that, Jade powered out and quickly locked Mercedes in the label lock, and she nearly passes out. But Mercedes found a way to slip out and fight her way through and goes to town on the champion with kicks and meteors, but somehow Jade kept kicking out of that as well. Mercedes then heads to the top and goes for another meteor, but Jade caught her mid-air and looked to transition into a Jaded, but Mercedes slipped out the back into a backstabber and locked in another bank statement on the champion. And after some time in the hold, Jade Cargill passes out from the pain, giving Mercedes Moné the victory. For the first time ever, Jade Cargill has suffered her first loss inside of a wrestling ring since her wrestling debut over 2 years ago. Mercedes is a woman of her word as she leaves Forbidden Door with the win, breaking Jade's undefeated streak and leaving as the new AEW TBS Women's Champion. Now, I usually wrap it up here, but I just have to get my thoughts out on the current state of the AEW TBS Women's title and Jade Cargill in particular. I'm of the opinion that Tony Khan is on autopilot when it comes to that woman right now, and I personally feel that if Chris Statlander didn't get injured last year, Tony would have had her be the one to break Jade's undefeated streak and become TBS Women's Champion. Do I actually see Mercedes Moné involved in AEW in any capacity? Yes and no. I can see Tony opening the checkbook if the opportunity presents itself to book her and probably sign her to a contract. And with AEW's current working relationship at the time of this recording still going strong with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I can see it happening more with this current wrestling tour that Mercedes is on. And I can see her going to battle and to wars with the likes of Jade and Jamie Hayter and knowing Tony Khan, even Britt Baker. As much as I'm not really a fan of the storyline, I can see her probably being a part of the Outsiders and original storyline that they got going on right now with Saraya and Ruby Soho and all these people. Speaking of Ruby Soho, I can see her versus Ruby outside of WWE would be insane. Hell, they could even revisit her and Saraya. It's a lot of possibilities for Mercedes in AEW if Tony plays his cards right and actually tries to sign her. But after saying all of that, I can honestly also see her saying no. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she just sticks to New Japan and Stardom. You see what I'm saying? Like, I would not be surprised if that happens. But if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. And while you're doing that, check out this particular video right here, where I asked a question on what if Cody Rhodes won the 2023 Men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Y'all be breezy.
Price on the tag, coming live from the west to the east. Better recognize on the mouthpiece. See the power level gotta increase. Bringing content on a daily.